They say time's supposed to heal ya, but I ain't done much healing. Hello.
Hey, what's good, guys? It's your Wednesday guy, Dalyn, coming back at you with another video this week. And as you can see, I am in my wife's bathroom because it's purple and, but I just got out the shower. She always steals my shampoo, so it's easier for me to hop in her shower because she has all my shit in there anyway. So that's why I'm here in a purple bathroom right now. But I figured I would do this video shirtless because since we're talking about how our transition affects our social life and all that good stuff, I figured I would just do something out of my comfort zone because I guess I'm really insecure about my chest. And that's really one of the main things that hinders me from being a little bit more social than I would like to be. So before I get into that, I guess I'm just going to talk about, I guess, famous or successful trans people. Because there's a difference between successful and famous. And sometimes they're, they can be the same, but they're actually really different. So I do know a few successful trans people. I don't know any famous trans people, but I do have friends that are very successful. And being successful doesn't mean that you have a lot of money. It doesn't mean that, you have this very, I guess you could say, luxurious job or luxurious career. It really doesn't mean those things. I have friends that are happy, they're healthy, they have happy families, they have a great support system, they are comfortable in life, and they have a career that they enjoy, that they worked hard to get where they are, and they're living their definition of the American dream. And to me, that's a successful trans person. So if you look at that definition, I know a few. Now, I mean, there are, famous trans people that I do enjoy watching on TV. I mean, there are some, famous YouTubers, some famous Instagrammers that I enjoy catching up on from time to time. But I really try not to compare myself to them because, it's almost like an unrealistic, I guess it's just an unrealistic aspiration, I guess, to try to be like some of the famous trans people out there. But there are some that are doing some great things for the community, so, kudos to them, and I hope they keep doing what they're doing. I know there's this special coming out on HBO. I think it's called Trans Life or something, and it looks really, really cool. I may have to check it out. And Laverne Cox, the other guys talked about her in their videos. She's awesome. Everybody knows her, so she's great. But, and then, some of the guys brought up some of the famous YouTubers and Instagrammers. There's a couple of them that I like. I have to send a shout out to Ty Turner. He's probably one of my favorite YouTubers. He's a cool guy, so if you haven't watched his videos, go check him out. But, I don't know. I guess that's really all I want to get into with that. But I will say that, don't measure your level of success off of another's. Try not to compare yourself to other people because, your ideal of being successful might be, working at a decent job, having a family, a wife or husband, having kids, living in a nice neighborhood, driving a nice car, and, that may be successful to you. And don't try to compare it to somebody else. You don't have to have a Ferrari or a Lamborghini and, live in a mansion to be successful. So, just set your goals, reach your goals, and be happy with them. And I guess we're going to go ahead and jump into how being trans affected my social life. And I watched the other guys' videos, and they pretty much said that, they were a lot more outgoing before their transition. And I mean, I was too. My social life was very active. I went out more. I guess I partied more, different things like that. And when I started my transition, when I was in that in-between stage, I really didn't want to go out in public. It was hard because, you don't pass, and then, you know what your expectations are. So when you're not passing and you're constantly being called ma'am, ma'am, and you're being called by your birth name, it's hard and it's discouraging, and it's uncomfortable. And then I know for me, when I did have friends and family that would use the proper pronouns, and they would call me by my name now, which is Dalyn, it would almost be uncomfortable for me because I know that everybody around doesn't view me as a man. They still view me as a woman. So it's like they're using male pronouns and they're looking at me and they're like, ugh. So it's like, it's almost like now when I'm like, if somebody calls me, by my birth name and they use female pronouns, it's like, oh, like, are they calling him a girl? Like, it's kind of like that where it's really awkward. So that in-between stage for me was just really, really tough. And I really didn't want to go out at all. I didn't want to go to work. I just felt so, excuse me, I felt so uncomfortable and I had like extreme anxiety, and it just really was just harder to go out and face it than it was to just lock myself in my house. So, I don't know. Luckily for me, I do have a very supportive wife, and she's been very supportive throughout my entire transition. So, I really don't know what I would have done without her. I know that it would have been a lot harder for me to like get through everything without her. So, I mean, it's just a lot easier when you have somebody there with you that you can talk to and, support you, and, you can just vent to, and is going to love you unconditionally no matter what. And I know a lot of guys don't have that. And I just wish that they do, or they did, and I hope they find somebody that, they can have that with, because it's very, very comforting. Well, it was for me. But my social life is kind of, right now, non-existent, because I'm living at home. Well, I'm back home, and, in the area where my family is from. When I first started transitioning, I lived, 12 hours away from my family, so I didn't have to face them. I didn't have to be around them. But then I came home 6 months in to my transition, and it was tough because they still call me by my birth name, and they still use female pronouns, even to this day. So it's really, really tough because, especially like when I'm out in public and people are calling me sir, and then you have one of my relatives calling me she and calling me by my birth name. It really gets uncomfortable sometimes because it's almost like I'm outed by my family members. So I really try to avoid any type of social interaction if I know my relatives are going to be there, because it's just uncomfortable for me. And, they don't do it to be hurtful, and they're not doing it because they don't accept my transition. I guess I'm just not pressing the issue. When they call me she, or they call me by my birth name, I don't correct them, and I don't tell them how uncomfortable it makes me feel. And that's something that I'm going to have to come to terms with on my own. Because I'm still processing it, and I feel almost guilty in a way. I feel like, I'm just, if I correct them and I kind of like force them to, use the right pronouns, that I'm just like throwing my transition in their face. And I just really feel bad in a way, and I know that I shouldn't. I don't know, it's really hard to explain. I guess with my cousins and things like that, they are kind of trying to, call me, like, my nickname is TJ. So they'll be like, oh, TJ. And then sometimes they'll slip up, like when they're just talking, they'll comfortably say my birth name. But they're trying. I have one cousin that will introduce me as Dalyn, and she will say he. But then sometimes when she's talking to me, she'll slip up and still say, my other name, and she'll call me she. So it's just, I don't know. I guess it's a process. I don't know. But my wife's family, they're very, very supportive. And they, they do call me TJ. And, they do use the correct pronouns. I mean, sometimes they'll slip up, but, they're very good with everything. And, I mean, her family's awesome. They're really, really amazing. And I just love her family so much. I'm not saying my family's not awesome, because they are. They are just processing it different, I guess. My wife's sister, she's a psychiatrist writes prescriptions. Psychologist is a doctor that doesn't write prescriptions. She's the one that doesn't write prescriptions, but she's a doctor, and she does a lot of work with trans youth and the LGBTQ community. And she is also married to a woman, so her wife or her sister's in a same-sex relationship, and then she has her brother, who's also in a same-sex relationship and has, kids with his partner. So, their family is, very, I guess, in tune with the LGBTQ community. So, they're very, very supportive, and they're very careful not to make me feel uncomfortable. But my family, they're just not, they haven't been exposed to this kind of thing, and it's my fault because I'm not educating them really at all, which I know I need to, because if I don't, I'm going to always be uncomfortable. And I don't know how much more I can take of wondering if I'm going to be outed. And it's like, I'll be sitting there, we'll like be having a conversation with somebody, and it's like almost like a countdown. It's like in my head, I'm just waiting for them to just drop my birth name and people to be like, who are you talking about, Or, it's like almost I'll see them like drop my birth name, and then I'll have to respond because like I can't ignore the fact that they're acknowledging me, and then I'll respond, and then they'll, sit there, and you actually see them process it in their head, like, okay, like, sometimes I don't even know if they put it together that I'm trans. I think they just think that I'm, like, some butch fucking lesbian with, like, facial hair. So, I don't know, but I just feel like I don't need to explain to every person, every stranger that I meet, that I'm outed to, that I'm trans. I'm tired of doing it, so I just stopped. So I just try to like run and hide. When there's somebody that's not family and doesn't kind of know, I just try to so yeah. So my social life is fucked. But Thanksgiving should be interesting because my entire family is going to be there. So I think maybe I'm going to make a promise to myself that when I have all the family together, I'm going to try to just tell them, like, listen, please try to use, my new name, because it's going to be legal next week. Please try to use my new name, and please try to use the correct pronouns, because it's really fucking with me, because it is. But other than that, I don't have a social life. My grandmother, I don't know if I think I told you guys before, but my grandmother just had open heart surgery, and I'm like with her every day. I have to give her breakfast in the morning, I have to give her medicine, I have to give her insulin, then I have to make her lunch, then she has to get more insulin, then I have to make her dinner if my mom's not there. then I have to give her more insulin and her night medication. So somebody has to be with her 24/7. So if I'm not with my grandmother, I'm at one of our businesses working. And if I'm not working at one of our businesses, I'm with my grandmother. So most of the time, I'm with my grandmother because we try to like do like a little time where, you know, we could leave her alone for a little bit, you know, while we're both at work. But that didn't work out well. So because, yeah, it didn't work out well. She wasn't feeling that. So, but yeah, so my social life pretty much sucks. But I wouldn't say that it sucks because I enjoy being with my grandmother. I love her. She's awesome. But yeah, I don't really go out. I'm not like afraid to go out to clubs or bars or anything like that. I can pee standing up with an STP device. So, you know, I'm not nervous to go into the bathroom. You know, it doesn't bother me, but I do get really insecure about my chest. Like, that's really the main thing that gets me a lot. I don't have a big chest, but I feel like people are constantly looking at it. I know that they're not, but I just feel like they are. And that is like one of the main things right now that just really bugs me. I'm constantly looking down, you know, I'm pulling my shirt, like, you know, I'm just, drives me crazy, man. But I'm actually in the process right now of getting my top surgery approved. So hopefully if everything goes through the way that I'm expecting it to, I should be getting my top surgery either around Christmas or February at the latest. So it just depends. It should be approved in December, and then as soon as my surgeon can schedule me, I'll be getting my top surgery. So once I get my top surgery, I really feel like a lot of my anxiety will kind of, you know, go away with me getting my top surgery, because it's just, you know, I have a lot of guy friends, and I feel like, you know, they're looking at my chest all the time. You know, I know that they're not, but I just feel like it's like there's just arrows just like just pointing down at my fucking chest, man. Like, it just like, or like just headlights, like, you know, like just look at me, like I just feel like I have a billboard right here. So once I get my top surgery, I will feel a lot more relieved. But I really don't have many friends that I hang out with all the time. I do have a lot of close friends, but unfortunately, we all live in different states. It just worked out that way, which is kind of fucked up, but I don't know. I've always been more of a homebody anyway, but I guess that's it, man. I think I really touched a lot of things. The video is like gonna be 19-20 minutes, and I know you guys get tired of my long ass fucking videos, but this, ow, damn, did you hear that? My fucking knee just popped. But this is just something that I had to get off my chest, this whole thing about my family, like, so I really just vented to you guys. You know, I talk to my wife all the time about it, but I think you guys are the only other people I've ever talked to about this other than with my wife. So, family, if you're watching, now you know how I feel. So, but that's it for this week. And make sure you check us out next week. And make sure you check out the other guys' videos. They had some really good things to say. So, make sure you check those guys out. And check out the rest of the videos for the rest of the week. And we'll see you next week, man. Have a good one. Peace.
Just at a house, dreaming about who we used to be when we were younger and free. I've forgotten how it felt before the world fell at our